views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the hit show, Questionable Conversations Radio, with Dr. Glenna Rice on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are you a busy parent? Are you deeply invested in your personal health and success? Questionable Conversations Radio is a space that explores different parenting methods, examines healthier lifestyles, and explores what else is possible to guide you toward a successful career. Is your fast-paced lifestyle draining all of your energy? Join Dr. Glenna as she shares her motherly wisdom, offers her expertise in body transformation, and gives insights on her personal experience as a successful businesswoman. The answers are in front of you. All you need are the right questions. Now, here's your host.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Questionable Conversations on Transformational Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show. And I am Dr. Glenna Rice, your host. And I have a fabulous guest today and a fabulous conversation. My guest and I have spoken about this for years, I think, to talk about this. So my guest is Cara Wright. Welcome, Cara.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And so Cara is Access Consciousness Facilitator. She also works for Access and does all this amazing work on docs and things. And I don't even know what she does, but she makes it work amazingly well. She's also a doula and has worked with pregnancy and birth for like 25 years. I wouldn't even, you were like 4 years old when you started or something.
Yes, exactly.
When you were born is when you started.
I came out of the womb, working with the womb. That's what I did.
So she empowers women to know about their bodies and their babies and the unique energetic awareness they have through the whole process of conception and pregnancy and childbirth and motherhood and infertility. And what we're really talking today about, well, as we're going to start off with, who knows where we'll go, is about infertility. So you have this new, you're starting a new thing, a reality beyond infertility. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. It's something that I've been really aware of and passionate about for a while, because it was my actual personal experience, and it's something that I've wanted to create something around, because I do know what that's like to be in, be labeled as infertile or be in that situation. And it's just what I've learned myself, and also with the tools of Access Consciousness. You actually helped me a lot with that, but it's really more about, starting to become aware of what it is that you'd actually like to desire, and how much with women especially, and this can also apply to men, but with women especially, there's this, just almost auto response that this is what you're supposed to do. And when you go to do it at whatever time you choose to do it, and things don't go the way you think they will go, it can be really just disorienting. And for me, it was very intense. It was a 6-year period of my life that was weird and odd and didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And I honestly, in the moment, thought if this doesn't happen, I really don't know what the hell I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And so now, being on the other side of it for years, it's like, wow, there is another side. And I do understand when you're in the moment of like, if this doesn't work, what am I supposed to do now? How that can just really be just an odd place to be.
Devastating, I think, for some women. I mean, it's interesting. So, you want to have a baby. I think that was our title of the show. So you think you want to have a baby? It's true for you. But I have spoken about different areas of pregnancy and childbirth, and everything, somehow, there's a wrongness in all of it.
Yes.
There is a wrongness of when you do it, if you do it,
how you do it. I mean, my first child, I have 3 kids, which most of you have heard about and heard many stories about. They're now adults, pretty much. But my first one was a surprise. I mean, I wasn't planning on having a baby. And that was wrong. Everything about that was wrong. I made myself wrong for having this accident that and all of the judgment around how it happens. And then the judgment of a woman, you're supposed to have a baby. That's for like millennial. You go back, millennials, they're supposed to be having babies. Millennials, it's their turn now.
But that was your job as a woman.
Yeah.
And you became a nun or you got married and had kids. And there was really no other, I mean, just in my mom's generation, which wasn't that long ago, that was the epitome of your success.
Yeah.
And what a small world you have to buy into.
It's so true.
That's,
and then when you and then when you try to buy into it and it doesn't work, then you're really like, well, what the am I supposed to do now? Like, what else is next? And that can be, like I said, for me, it was really disorienting. I actually experienced a lot of anxiety and depression from it over the years and years and years of it. And I was really odd because I had spent at that point, like 13 years of my life working. I did prenatal yoga exclusively, postnatal yoga, moms and babies. And I was like going to births weekly. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know. This is not, this is not good. Like I kept getting more distraught and more depressed and more anxious as I went. And I really, at the point that I actually, and I was doing so many of the different things too. Like I was doing all the natural things and there's so many different theories out there. Talk
a little bit about what you were doing. Let's, go through your story a little bit and how it changed for you. You were doing fertility treatments. You were doing, what were you doing? It was a bit of a havoc on your body over the years.
Yes. So I mean, my story is that obviously I was a yoga teacher and I was very naturally minded. I was into naturopaths and yoga and acupuncture and chiropractic and all of those things. And so when I realized, for a while, I really had a lot of space around that. Okay, I know it doesn't happen right away and blah, blah, blah. And I'm a little bit older, all that stuff. And then when it started not happening, it's interesting when you start to ask the questions, how many, and it's really questions from a point of view of what am I not doing correctly?
Yeah.
Honestly, which is one of the things that changed for me after, I started actually asking questions that were relevant to me. So I started out going, okay, is it my body? Is it my husband's body? We did all those basic things. For me, nothing ever showed up. There was no this is what the problem is. And so that was even more of a hard thing to deal with because I didn't know what I could change to get the result I was wanting.
So in the home medical system, you were looking for this answer.
Yes.
Of what, and then if you had that, then you could figure out how to change it, which isn't because we know how things actually work.
No, but that is a lot of around in the infertility world and also in the birth world. There's a lot of do it this way, don't do it that way. Like you said, there's a lot of polarized conversations. And what's funny is it's everyone's point of view because somebody can think this way is the right way. And then the next day, somebody else thinks the exact opposite is the right way. And they all have their reasons and justifications for why that is. And when you aren't getting pregnant, it's just an extension of that energy of well, you should do this or you should do that. So I did all the natural things. I went to acupuncture for a long time. I, worked with naturopaths. And when I looked at it, a lot of people have points of view about, well, if you want a kid, why don't you just adopt? Or, and now there's the in vitro. There's all these different ways you can achieve the result of getting pregnant. And I always knew there was something there where I was like, okay, do I actually really desire? There were some things I was willing to do physically with my body. And there were some things that just I wasn't willing to do. And that's always a personal choice. But I also use that as a weapon to myself totally. Because I'm like, well, God, I should be able to, if I really wanted this, I should be willing to do whatever it takes, and I really wasn't. And that was another area that created a ton of anxiety because it was I never knew if I was doing the right thing. And, it was.
And every month was anxious because every month when your period started, you were like, oh, that didn't work. I'm a loser.
Every single month. And I have an amazing husband and, early on. I do. And early on, we found out that it wasn't him. And honestly, what I was so elated that it had nothing to do with him because I didn't really know how that would go. I knew how to quote unquote deal with myself. So I was really actually relieved that it wasn't him. Although if it's a male thing. There's things that men can do as well. But then I just focused on myself. Like, so, okay, obviously it's my problem.
I'm the problem
going on with my body. So yeah, every month you just have this like reminder of how much of a failure you are and how, your body isn't working, and it would just start all over again. And what started to happen too is like, people come, and I was actually really private about this struggle. Like I would say for at least, probably 5 of the years that I was doing this, very few people even knew it was going on. Cause being with women, that's not something you bring up to somebody who's pregnant, having a kid,
There is a whole conversation we can even have about that. Cause, so this failure thing, this monthly thing that comes up every single month, what would you say to women? I mean, so we talk about your point of view creates your reality. And if that is your point of view about you, then you're putting all these judgments and points of views on your body, and your whole life, your whole being, your whole future, everything about you is being judged as wrong. And it's perpetuating every monthly cycle. This keeps coming up. Yeah. So what would you say to a mother? We have about a minute before we go to break.
Well, I mean, and what I've actually realized over a series of things that we can go into was that what I would say is really looking at, what is right about all of it that I'm not getting, and, and I could go into more, but we can do that over next to the break. But that's the thing that started to shift and change things for me, because I wasn't stuck in the Jesus, I'm wrong again this month. It didn't work again. And then having all the choices I made based on that decision that it didn't work again. And what am I, and then I would gear up for the next month. And, and my poor husband, like he was in the tsunami of all of this, and I'm not even sure, like, it's funny how we are now. And we look back at that time in our marriage where we're just like, wow, boy, that was totally insane. Like we were both like simultaneously being insane and still like supporting one another, but not really. It's almost like that thing where, there's something you don't really want to look at it fully, but it's there.
Yeah. You weren't being you. You weren't being you. You didn't even have access to you. You had this other thing. So we have time to go to a break. This is Dr. Glenna Rice on Transformational Talk Radio, Questionable Conversations, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Back on Transformational Talk Radio. This is Questionable Conversations with Dr. Glenna Rice, and I've got my amazing guest, Cara Wright, here. Friend of mine for many years. I've known you for probably almost 10 years or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. So Cara, if people want to get a hold of you.
Yes.
And find out more about this topic we are talking about, and that you also do access X-Men classes all over the world. So that's another thing we can speak about. But if they wanted to find you, get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I have a website. It's www.carawright.com. And you can go to the website and fill out the little contact form there, and I'll reach out to you.
And you have a Facebook page also too, Cara Wright.
I do. Cara Wright CFMW. Yes. .com.
And if you want to find more about me, my website is up, drglennarice.com. And all my workshops that I do, you can go to accessconsciousness.com/drglennarice and find the classes I have around the world coming up there. Easy. So we were talking about this whole process you went through and all the work. So you went through the process. You didn't have a baby.
No.
What changed?
Yeah. So
did you have you again?
Well, and the thing that I was over the break, I was remembering was because 6 years is a really long time. It's like, how did I actually sustain that kind of commitment to something for that long? And it's not like there were times where, you think things are happening, or you think things are changing, or you find something that you think is going to make a difference, and it's going to actually happen then. And so there's these moments of okay, this is going to work. And then you go on with that. So every consecutive thing for me that I would find that I'd be like, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be what worked. I know it worked for this person. It's like people come out of the woodwork and tell you all the crazy things they did, and then all of a sudden they got pregnant.
Like positions, having sex, putting your feet up on the wall, or
eating walnuts. Like I just ate, black walnuts and I'm just like, okay. And I was like willing to try anything. So there was like all these like moments of that. And then, for me, I think the one thing people would always say to me that was probably the most devastating, irritating, the thing that would kind of send me into a spiral was when people would say things like, well, you just need to relax. If you just relaxed and didn't think about it, it would happen. And I was like, that is like, I literally would want to murder people when they would say that to me. And it's really the thing a lot of people will say. And I knew that, like, thank you for that information. Right. And probably you're correct. And I had no idea how to get there. And I was doing, like I said, I had done EFT. I had found, it's actually an amazing, it's called the Crichton method, but it's like they actually do hormone replacement, but they do it very specific to your cycle, which was the one thing that I was actually willing to do where I would actually be supplementing my body. And so I had been doing that for a while, which even though it was following my cycle, like my body was not happy when I was on what they determined was the right amount of hormone I should have in order to conceive and to be able to sustain the pregnancy. I was like, it made my anxiety like so much more intense, and my depression, like I was a little bit of a nut. And then on top of that, people going, you need to relax, just don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Go on a vacation. Do you know how many vacations we went on and I got my period on the vacation? I'm like, well, how do you plan that? You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my God. So I had been doing EFT. I had gone to therapists. When I say I did a lot of things, I did a lot of things. And I had a friend who just sent me, it was literally like a 30-second video of Dr. Dane here, who's one of the co-founders of Access, talking about the Access bars. Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember what I heard in that video, but I think it was something that I was like, okay, if this is something that I can actually do that will allow me to relax, if that's actually going to create the result I'm looking for, I want to try it. And so I found a class online and actually went to Access Bars and Foundation. Like I had never even had my bars run, which I'm sure your viewers know a little bit about the bars.
I do. And actually there is, if you want to know more, there's accessconsciousness.com bars. And I also did a show with Emily Russell about the bars, that if you go back in the feed a little bit on this Transformational Talk Radio, you'll find that show where we talked about this amazing technique. Yeah. Shifted things for Cara.
Totally. I mean, and it's like, I went to that class and the bars class, and I went to the foundation class. And after that, like I actually had a space in my world to look at, is this actually what I'd like to have in my life? Which for 6 years, I had not allowed myself to ask that question.
So is having a baby, being a mother, something that you actually desire for your future?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is not a question many women or men ask themselves ever. We just go on autopilot, like you said.
Well, and I think I had gotten so committed to the goal of getting pregnant that I wouldn't allow myself to actually look at it, because that was an affront to what I had been choosing. Like that was that was me giving up, and I wasn't going to fucking give up, like, no. And,
yeah,
and
never
bars changed that for me. So
the bars did.
Mm-hmm.
It gave you more space to see
more space, and to actually go, okay, wait a second, like stop. What would I actually like for my life? And to actually start to look at where, if I was really being honest with myself, is the reality of having kids actually what I wanted my life to look like, and like wanted my marriage to look like, and like actually asked my partner, hey, is this insanity actually something you'd like to have? And because I think both of us, we had just really gotten to very strange places with the whole topic, obviously, because it was really intense for many years. And when I got my bars run, and then I went to foundation, and then I went to a 3-day body class, which is where I met you.
Yes.
And I came into that, and I took all these classes like within a very short period of time. So I was very new to the whole thing. And I was very excited for the first time to find something where I wasn't doing it just to get pregnant. I was actually choosing it because I knew I was like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, like I can't live like this, nor should I have a child. I was like a little bit insane at that point. Like, I'm not sure I should have children, which was a whole nother judgment that I would, dive into.
You actually like look at this whole thing of having a child, how much you're putting on the potential child too. Like the answer to your life is not what kids should be. That's not what they are. They're actually their own beings with their own futures, and they don't create your future.
No.
Believe me, they go. They're out the door. They're, bye, mom, I'm going to college. I'll see you later. And then you get a call once a month. It's like, if that was your future, that's a pretty tough day.
Yeah.
When it just moves out.
Yeah.
And then you go like, it's a big question to ask at any time in your life. What would I like my life to look like?
Yeah.
You came to my body class, and I think I asked you some questions.
You did. I had so many points of view too about what I was going to get out of that class. Like, I was still pretty intense in that. Like, I am an intense person, and well, I don't know what I am, but back then I was like, wow, I was focused and I was like on something, and I was like a dog on a bone. So I had all sorts of questions I was going to get the answers to. And I remember asking you, and you looked at me and you said, do you actually desire to have a child?
I probably said truth too before I said truth.
Yeah, you may have out loud. And I honestly, it was the first time somebody had actually asked me.
Yeah,
in a long time or ever.
Isn't that interesting that women that are pregnant, trying to get pregnant accidentally, all these things, which is really up in America right now. I mean, it's a topical conversation with all the laws that are getting passed. They're crazy. Yes. Truth, do you really want to have a child? Now, you have to look at the energy from awareness, not from your answer, which is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anyone, ladies. You don't really have to tell. You can keep this, can be just for you, just for fun, never tell anyone. But you look at, yes, I do, or no, I don't, and see which one lights up, which one is lighter, which one creates more space, the no or the yes. So what did you get?
I actually looked at it and was like, wow, I got to know. And the thing that you followed up with that, because I don't even know if I said it out loud in that moment. I knew in my own space that I actually got like, oh, crap, like, no.
No, I'm really wrong.
Yeah. And then you said you don't like, and this isn't a choice you have to make forever and ever. Like, in this 10 seconds, is it a yes or no? And that freedom also, on top of being willing to ask myself the question, to know that it could be a no, 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 no. And 2 weeks from now, I might get a yes. Like, because there's so much about being in that headspace of trying to get pregnant. It's not having that. Everything becomes about like this solid result, and then you commit to the result, and anything you do like that doesn't feed that. It's not even a commitment. I don't even know what that, but doesn't feed that.
It doesn't match that point of view that you have to do this.
Yes. Is then something that you're now doing in addition wrong. Like, I used to think to myself, well, if I really wanted to have a baby, then I wouldn't drink coffee. If I really wanted to have a baby, then I wouldn't have that cocktail. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm making myself like be limited before it to prove that I should have it. Like, oh my, it was just a lot of
and it's kind of funny because drinking cocktails and having coffee really kept us from getting pregnant.
I always used to think that. I'm like, wow, that would be like an easy birth control.
I know. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And if your point of view truly is that, no, right now I don't want to have a child, and you're a potent being like you are, you're going to be creating the reality that's actually true for you, even if you don't recognize you're actually creating it. So that's where that question, what's so right about this I'm not getting, was such a great question. So it's time to go to break again. This is Dr. Glenna Rice with Cara Wright on Transformational Talk Radio. This is Questionable Conversations, and I'll see you in a few minutes. It's Dr. Glenna Rice on Questionable Conversations, the Transformational Talk Radio with Cara Wright. We're talking about infertility, about how wrong women make themselves when they're pregnant, when they're not pregnant, when they can't be pregnant, how this reality is totally insane around this entire subject. There's no clarity. No one can have clarity because it's so insane. And we're hoping we can help some people have a little bit of clarity about what's true for you. So you think you want a baby. Is that true for you? What do you know? And Cara had just her coming in, she was talking about her story. Quite inspirational, actually, I think, for women that are going through this. So I think it's wonderful that you're putting this out there, Cara. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Me too.
And if you want to find more about Cara, it's carawright.com is your website, correct? And I'm drglenarice.com. You can find me there. Yeah. So being honest with yourself. So now you don't have kids, right?
No, I don't.
You don't
Fast forward 10 years or whatever it is. I don't. We didn't actually do that. We didn't use it. And, you know, one of the things that I did want to add about when I came to your body class, like the other thing that I had realized was the relationship that I had created with my body over that period of time when things weren't working. Because also what this reality does is it makes it a very physical problem. Like, if you're not getting pregnant, it is because something is wrong with your body. It's either your hormone, like whatever, you know, and there's a gazillion theories. And so what I realized and I honestly, this is one I'm still actually working on, because what I realized when I came to your class is that I had destroyed any sort of communion or trust or anything, like my body to me was just a problem. And it was something that was a disappointment. It was like I really had very intense, very negative points of view about my body. And I remember coming home from your class, taking a bath. Because at the same time, I'm somebody who, I was a gymnast for years, and I love moving and hiking and being in the world. And I actually love my body.
You do Bollywood dancing too.
Right? I love that. So it was this really weird, conflicting universe, because at the same time I was so hard on it and I was so disappointed in it. And I mean, basically for 6 years, it let me down every month. And no matter what I tried, nobody could change what was going on with my body, including me. And so I remember just sitting in a tub and just crying, just like realizing how intensely judgmental and horrible I had been with my body and to my body. And it was this really cool, because one of the things we learn in Access is that your body's actually a co-creator here with you, as a collaborator. And to have that awareness also that it's not just being me, I've actually been creating a lot of this as well. And it wasn't just my body being horrible, that it was a combination of it. And what would it look like if I actually was grateful for my body and I actually started looking at my body as not the problem, but okay, cool. Again, what's right about my body I'm not getting. And that and like I said, that is something that one of the things that still comes up for me. It doesn't come up for me as much anymore. I'm not pregnant. In fact, now it's the opposite. I've had months where I'm oh my God, if I'm fucking pregnant, I'm just not even going to be okay with that. The whole other direction. But that relationship and communion that I have with my body, I'm so grateful that at least I have the ability to pay attention to when I'm actually going into that more intense, judgmental, why aren't you different? Why is this going on? Body kind of conversation with myself that really became very familiar to me. Going through infertility.
So much a part of it. And having a communion, what you talked about with your body, having to create with your body, not against it, is a difficult thing to have in this reality, because no one talks about it in that place. We do, and we force, and we take hormones, all these things, and we never even ask our body what it knows. And if your future and what you're going to create as your future in any 10 seconds is not being a mother, because you're going to have a future that's about what you're going to create in this world from different avenues, which are required and beautiful and wonderful. And I'm so happy that there are women that aren't just choosing this one thing, only choice we have. But if you're body recognizes what's true for you and is creating with you what's true for you, and then you're asking for something that's not true for you, your body's in continual conflict all the time. Like it's got to figure out to not drop eggs at the time that you would get pregnant, because that's not actually your future.
I know. And, I think my body was just brilliant at it,
And how's your relationship with your body now?
It's so much different. It's so different. It's not even just better. It's just totally different. And like I said, there are still areas that show up where I'm like, but I actually ask questions now, and I actually have that awareness of it's information that my body is giving me. It's not a wrongness that my body is, whatever that thing that's showing up.
So this is kind of cool. I've worked with lots of ladies, and lots of women have come into my class with the same question. Glenna, I'm trying to get pregnant. It's not working. And they all want me to fix it and give them the body process and the bars things that will make it all work. They want me to have to come up with this answer. And I asked that saying, so truth, do you really want to be a mother?
Yeah.
And everyone at first is like, yes, of course I do. I've been trying for 4 years every month. And I'm like, well, truth, do you really want to be a mother?
Yeah.
And have them look at it. And the where it's gone, like you're one example. And then I think there was a Denver class I had where there was 2 mothers. And I showed up a year later and there was 2 babies. So many women have gotten so much freedom to realize, actually, this isn't the choice for my future. This isn't going to create a greater future for me. And the ease that they have with their life now and what they're creating and how they're creating, and actually this joy that didn't exist before, because there was all this wrongness in their world, actually is present. Like there's a joy with their body and there's a joy with their life.
Yeah.
There was one woman who I had a session with, and it was like, oh yeah, I want to be a mom, and I want to be a mom, but I'm not, and I don't want to do it right now, but I'm getting into my 40s and the whole story. And I said, truth, do you want to be a mom? And she couldn't really say yes, but she was getting no's. And finally she said, oh wow, it's a no. And I said, it doesn't have to be now, like I was with you. And then she goes, and then her story was, but I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be alone in my life, and when I'm older, and like I just said, your kids actually leave. It doesn't matter if you have kids now, what you're going to live in the future like. And I was like, okay, so who does that belong to?
Yeah.
Who does that energy belong to? So much of this energy around having children and being a mom isn't even our energy. And her awareness actually was the beings that had decided. And I was like, okay, so you do get that if that was your child, their energy would be the same, and not demanding. You had them, is that actually someone you would want to create a relationship with? So there's so many questions we can ask around this that no one is asking that can give you clarity. And you could get pregnant. You could actually choose to have a life.
Yeah. That is not that. Yeah. And it's empowering. Because one of the main things that whole experience was for me is like the level of disempowerment that I experienced and like really chose. Like nobody was making me do what I was doing. I was choosing all of it. But like to be empowered with those questions and to understand what's like going on in a larger way, it's like there isn't anything else that I'm so grateful for all of that, which is part of the reason why I'm like, all right, it's been kind of in my awareness of something I wanted to look at for a really, really long time. And it literally just pinged me and was like, okay, now is the time to start talking about this conversation, because nobody really does talk about like you actually have choice here. And to like give you the information of like, is that actually your point of view? Is it your point of view? Is it sometimes after, I knew it really wasn't my choice. I would go into, I want to have a kid. And then I'd be like, wait a second, who does that belong to? And then I would realize it was like, in-laws, or it was like somebody I knew that I was aware of, or it's like to start to know that you may not actually have that point of view. You might just be really aware of other people who do.
Yeah. It's funny, the conversation has been up so much since you started this. I just had a parenting class in Hungary, and half the conversation in the morning was about this topic. There were kids women that had kids and some that didn't have kids that were there. My host didn't. And then there was another woman I was just speaking with whose mother is so adamant she's going to have children because she needs grandchildren. And we were coming up with ways. So what could we say to your mother so she would stop harassing you all the time every time you talk to her?
Yeah.
That would give her some ease,
Yeah.
And, one was to just say, oh, I'm trying. It's just not working, Mom. I'm sorry. Just not very good at that.
Which can happen. It does happen. I can tell you that. Yeah. So it's like, what would it look like if you, like when you actually are empowered with the ability to go, okay, wait a second, what's actually going on instead of just soldiering on, then so much can change. And it can change, like you said, in a myriad of different ways. There's not one. And that's the cool thing about the access tools and like the awareness around this information is there is not a result. And it basically doesn't show up like you think it's going to.
No, it's an empowerment without a result. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to break right now, and we'll be back for the last segment. And I'd like to talk a little bit about X-Men.
Yes.
X-Men classes, what you facilitate. So we'll be back in a minute. It's Dr. Glenna Rice on Transformational Talk Radio, Questionable Conversations. So Questionable Conversations with Dr. Glenna Rice and my amazing guest, Cara Wright. So Cara, I want to talk a little bit about X-Men.
Yes.
And we talked about how to find you, carawright.com. And you did a video.
I did a Zoom on the reality beyond infertility. And if you email me, I'm happy to send out the recording of it. And my email is talktocarawright@gmail.com. And it's TALKTOCARAWRIGHT.
And they can also, if you go to your website, message you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do that as well.
And you have a class, an X-Men class.
I do. What is X-Men? So X-Men is actually a really cool specialty of Access Consciousness, and it's Access X-Men. We lovingly refer to this area as X-Men because it's basically all the people who don't fit in, who have been labeled with things, infertility, or things like ADD, ADHD, autism, Asperger's, OCD, like kind of the things where this reality has decided that a way someone functions, like a lot of the learning disabilities. And, if however you are in the world, whether it's how you think or what your body's creating or how you are around people is different.
Yeah.
X-Men is pretty much for you. And it is a really cool body of work where it just gives you like really pragmatic tools to use when you're in those moments, and also gives you information that you probably should have been given at birth but weren't. When I found X-Men, I had been doing Access for a couple years, and this specific body of work, I didn't actually realize I was an X-Men until I started, and I was like, oh my God, that's so me. Like everything was like, that's why that's been going on my whole life. Oh, that's what that is. So
it gives you clarity so much. I love this work. I would say the same thing for me. I'm not an X-Men facilitator yet, but it is on my, I would say bucket list. No, it's on my very soon to-do list. And my daughter was 2 when I showed up, found the Access classes and work. And so she kind of was given it at birth. And she had some OCD stuff that was pretty funky going on. Yeah. These tools changed. I mean, she's got a little bit of it, but the tools actually allow her to have it not as a disability, but as a total ability for creating her fabulous life, actually creating greater than you could imagine for a teenager, for someone in high school, for everything she creates. These are her abilities, which without the tools, you go through life thinking they're wrongness.
Yep. And that you have a disability and that you're weird and funky and, you're stupid or you don't learn the same, all of that stuff. Cause it's like, I was never diagnosed with anything, but I always learned very differently, and school was always very strange to me. And like socially, I was very awkward.
Oh, I was so weird.
So this particular body of work actually gives you a space to look at yourself again, like what's right about you you're not getting, And what things have you either been made wrong for or decided were a wrongness that actually would contribute to you creating your life? And Gary Douglas, founder of Access, has said that the X-Men is basically the evolution of the species, that as our species evolves, there are new things that are showing up. And yes, we label them as OCD or ADHD or autism. What if it's actually that our species is actually evolving? I know everybody talks a lot about that, but nobody actually looks at, could it be happening?
And there are ways to create ease with it and actually use it to empower you.
Exactly.
Not just, like they do on the X-Men movies, which, that's where the name came from, because they're all they have all these amazing powers.
Different
Everyone
powers.
makes wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he just recently said an evolution to have more awareness. Like that was the change, is having awareness, which is the awareness of everything without judgment. That ability is such an ability of some of these kids. Kids. I'm not even going to say kids, because we were
There's
kids.
A lot of adults.
Yeah.
I was one of those. I was like, wait a second. What are you saying? That this actually stuff might apply to me? And then when I actually started looking, I was like, oh my gosh, so much more of my life is clearer, and how much more ease can I have so much more ease. And there's things that I'm doing now, quote unquote, as jobs and projects that I'm on and things I'm creating that I would have never known I could do if I didn't start accessing some of these things as abilities and not disabilities. And
I was just talking to a mother who came up to me. Where was I? I was at a big expo in London, in a speaking spot. And this woman came up and said, "Oh, my son is labeled with ADHD, and he's always playing video games." And I was like, "Cool, she gets so lucky." I said that he's a multitasker. He can do a whole bunch of things at once. She goes, "Yeah, he can play the games and talk to me, and he's got the radio on." I said, "Yeah, he's the one that's going to run corporations."
Yeah, it's really true. You know.
And I used to say the kids that were stopping their kids from these abilities, they would be working for my kids in the future, because I was actually going to empower them with those abilities, so they could change the world and create greater than you can imagine. So that's just an example of one of the conversations we have around X-Men.
Yes.
How these abilities actually are, you can use to your advantage. They are not a disadvantage to creating a future that's amazing, which is what you're talking about. And me too. I mean, I was socially awkward, and I have a radio show, and I teach workshops to people all over the planet. And I couldn't speak in public until I was 40.
Yeah.
Which is only a couple years ago. Right? Because there was an awareness, it was a talent ability that I had of everyone else's stuff, the who does it belong to we've spoken about, that I was always hearing. So when I spoke in public or even thought about speaking to anybody, I could hear everything they were thinking and thought it was mine. Exactly. I wasn't actually as awkward as I thought I was.
Exactly. And it applies to so many different things. Like, I can't say enough about the tools of X-Men to be able to take you from I am the most messed up person on the planet to wow, I'm here to actually create something different. Totally.
Exactly. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we only have a little bit of time left. So you have is it live streamed or is it live? I mean, can people watch it online if they wanted to? Is it
the X-Men class?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you can come to LA and be there live for the class. It's also going to be live streamed as well. There are a few prerequisites for the class. So you can check out the accessconsciousness.com/X-Men to see what those prereqs are. And also there are facilitators around the world. So if you're hearing this and you're not near LA, you can also look to see who else is offering this work.
And I'll just mention for parenting stuff, I have a class coming up in Mexico City. First week of August, the 4th, weekend of the 4th, 2-day class. It is also live streamed, so you can watch if you can't fly to Mexico City, which is still an amazing city. I totally enjoy that city. You can also watch it online. So thank you, Cara. Any last quick words?
No, I'm just super grateful. Thank you for having me on. And I wonder what else is possible with this whole infertility topic.
Yeah, what else is possible? What if you could have ease with being you?
Yeah.
Know what's true for you and choose for you and change the world.
No matter what. Exactly.
Thanks, Cara.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Questionable Conversations Radio with Dr. Glenna Rice. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Dr. Glenna explores different parenting methods, examines healthier lifestyles, and explores what else is possible to guide you toward a successful career. For more information or to listen to past shows, visit GlennaRice.com. That's GlennaRice.com. See you next time.